for us.
Oh, she's not allowed, huh? To hold it,
She is,
the microphone.
but he has to drop the mic.
Oh, here, ready? I'll drop it.
Why are you all so quiet?
Mic
Alright,
drop.
Mike. Hey.
Ah, she got it. Where it is? It's floating
Like
around.
it's like in the stands. There we go. Who wants it?
Do you take?
Anyone expert in beards?
Open mic night.
Birds.
No, beard. The facial hair beard.
Oh,
I have problems with it. My iPhone doesn't recognize me anymore.
That's how you know you've been inside too long.
shave it.
No, I'm trying to get a beard. That's like the best.
This is the worst time now, so you need to go to
an hour and a bit.
Yeah, I know it's like not safe.
This is
Beard, so maybe yeah.
Bitcoin.
No. There's a community episode where it's about the worst timeline, I think, and then they get like Gucci at the end. Gucci, because that's how they look like the evil twins
Okay, sent you the link.
in the parallel universe.
I retweeted it.
I don't know.
Great.
Simply
Let's
my
start.
iPhone,
Let's see.
can't unlock it.
We have this.
So annoying.
Alright, talk to you guys in a
Yes.
little bit.
Okay, we can go.
Good one. Enjoy the talk.
Okay. Woo. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Reckless VR. Happily, you're finally muted. You were speaking too much, too loudly. So I muted everyone. This is the best part. I always make this joke, but the best part is muting everyone. But yeah, welcome. And I'm Udi Wertheimer, just in case you can recognize me. This is exactly what I look like in real life. It's great to see you all. If you're not here in VR and you're watching this like through the video stream, then just so you know that we do that every week. We have VR meetups every weekend. You do not have to own a VR headset to join. You can join on your PC or Mac or whatever. So you can go to recklessvr.com or recklessvr on Twitter or recklessvr on Telegram and join, and you'll get invites for each week. We have a pretty good lineup coming up. I'm not going to tell you anything about that now. Instead, I'm going to tell you about this week. We have American HODL. He's Twitter's favorite set stacker and other things too. Overall, very nice guy. Thank you for joining, Hoddle.
Happy to be here. Can you tell that I'm itching my balls in real life right now? Does that come through?
I can tell because I can see them, but I think most people can because of the table, which is good. Unfortunately, I can. So yeah.
Hey.
But yeah. Well, did you like? Are you using a Quest right now? You're using Quest, right?
I got the Quest, yeah, the first one.
I'm on the Quest 2, just to clarify that I'm better.
Okay.
It's amazing. I just want to say
You're trying to
it's
stun
amazing.
on me right now.
It's
all right.
Yes.
I get it.
And it's
I get it.
I will say it's not great that it's Facebook. I'm not a fan of the Facebook thing, but I have to say that it's way better.
Yeah, they made me.
than what
I
you
had to,
own right now.
I haven't used this since I bought it, basically, right? And so they made me fucking sign back in and get a Facebook account. So I had to like go create a fake Facebook account to use this thing, which was very annoying.
Well, you shouldn't say that because if they find out, they're gonna ban you and they're gonna destroy your thing. So just so you know.
I'll be unpersoned in VR.
Yeah, just so you know. Well, look, you didn't play though any VR games, right?
No, I played Beat Saber and
Oh, are you a
Super
Beat
Hot.
Saber person?
Super Hot is my favorite. I really like Super Hot.
Super Hard is cool.
Yeah,
I
I've
agree.
run through that one three or four times.
Oh, really? That board.
Yeah,
You know
Super-
they have other games. You know that.
Let's see, what's another one? I did Racket Fury, but I really suck at that one. There was someone where it's like a space thing.
Little
you're
known
shooting
fact: Racket Fury is an
Space-
Israeli game developed here in
Is it?
Israel, where I live. Yes.
Is
I
ping pong
only
like
found
a
out
thing?
this week. So, yeah, it is.
It's a thing in Israel. you guys have
It is
competitive
kind
ping
of.
pong?
I mean, probably not. Probably not. We played at the beach without a table.
Wait,
Does that
what?
count?
How do you play without a table?
You just throw the ball around. There's no. It's not too serious. It's a
We call that
casual thing.
volleyball. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a small ball.
Wait, what? Is it called ping pong?
It's not called ping pong, but that's what it is. There's disagreement. There's disagreement in the audience. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna move on. Look, the worst thing about you. I'm just gonna start with the worst thing about you, okay?
Okay.
And then
okay.
everything is gonna be easier. So the worst thing about you is that recently you had that you went on. I think it was Bitcoin Magazine's thing, and you said that the word pleb is pronounced
Plebe.
yes.
That's right.
So you claim that the way you pronounce pleb is by saying plebe.
Okay, well,
Am
here's
I-
the deal. The original word is plebeian, right? So you would
No, the
think
original
you
world is plebeian.
Listen, I consulted with some Italians on this. Okay,
The Italians have no idea what they're talking about.
No.
Come on.
They know the origin words. All right, and
So
so I'm
the origin doesn't matter. Who cares
I'm
about the
sticking with
origin?
plebe. All right.
You know what? I just for you, I'm gonna end this. Now. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Anyone who thinks that you should say plebe, can you throw out a heart emoji? There's an emoji on your thing.
Boom,
Okay.
boom.
I see 3 people. Anything who thinks
4.
it's pleb, can you throw out a smiley emoji? Okay, that's what the people
All right.
think.
All right.
That was the
Pleb-
people
plebs
think.
have it.
But let's
Plebs have it.
yeah, I'm not that's not enough for me. So let's sell this for real. Look behind you.
Yes. Okay. On Google. No. Okay. On
Pleb.
Google, it says pleb. Yeah.
Pleb.
Now look up plebeian.
Pleb.
Do it.
No, this is it.
Pleb.
All right.
This is what
If
you
you
have.
If you go
Pleb.
pronounce on the full word, it's
Look,
plebeian.
they brought in
Pleb.
someone else.
Not
They
pleb-
brought
not
in someone else to
plebeian.
pronounce it.
Pleb.
All right.
It's not
I'm
the
just
woman
gonna-
from before.
I'm just gonna have to take the L on this one. Apparently.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Fuck
Pleb.
it.
Okay, we're done with this. I can move on now. We've settled this. It's pleb. I feel like it's settled. Okay, so look. Other than the pleb issue, you seem to have a lot of conviction about stuff, specifically about Bitcoin. So where does this come from? You're like the Bitcoin conviction man, as far as I can tell. Where's that coming from?
Just from the minute I actually read the white paper and actually like understood how Bitcoin worked. I mean, not like on a deep technical level, but just high level, like enough to get the architecture of the system and to understand that it wasn't bullshit. I was like, of course, like this makes so much sense. This is just like BitTorrent combined with money and blah blah blah, all that stuff. And I don't know, just from the early days, like late 2014, I think is when I read the white paper, like Christmas 2014. And just ever since then, I've just been super convinced. Like, it was very obvious to me that the shit coins were basically nothing. And especially back then, they all used to, except for Ripple and Ethereum, they were all just straight up copies with just minor changes, right? So it was like, this one has the network effect, this one has the community, yada, yada, yada. I don't know, it just always made sense to me. Maximalism just hit me correctly. Like, I'm a natural born maximalist, I think.
So is that like because you think that, or is that like anti-shit coins or anti-dollar or anti-both or what? Like what's the stance there?
Man, it's hard to describe, but yes, I mean the dollar is a shit coin, right? So
True.
yeah,
True.
anti-shit coins is the entire ethos. And then I think once you wrap your head around the concept of, like Breedlove calls it, zero, or like the concept of zero, right? Absolute zero. Like once you wrap your head around absolute scarcity, then you're like, oh, there's never been anything like this in the history of money. This is the first time this has ever occurred, right? And like most people don't understand that,
So do you ever think though that you're like maybe wrong on any of this stuff? That you're like missing maybe something?
The only thing I think about is that we're all delusional, because we all have like a framework from our life experiences that led us to this point, and then Bitcoin maximalism is like a pit of quicksand that we all were stupid enough to fall into, right? So that's the only that's my only yeah. But if we are delusional, we're not going to know it. So we might as well just keep fucking pushing forward, you know?
Well, yeah, okay. I guess that's a way to look at it. You could also say, well, maybe we're delusional, so I'm just gonna hedge my bets a little bit just to.
But what do you hedge? What do you hedge into? Ethereum?
Well, some people would say Ethereum. Yes,
you're basically hedging
not
into
one of those people. But
yeah,
some people will say Ethereum. Some people will say, whatever else. I would imagine that you have other assets that you own other than Bitcoin. I don't know. You want to get into financials?
Yeah, I own real estate other than Bitcoin, and that's about it. Honestly, I've transferred all my equities into Bitcoin recently, so I'm basically 3% Bitcoin at the moment, something like that. So
that's a lot of percent.
If Bitcoin doesn't work,
300%, like you could leverage.
Well, that's true. If Bitcoin doesn't work, I'm gonna be really fucking sad for a while, you know, because like you got to go in with conviction, man. You have to like if this is the way you see the world and you think that this is the way it should be, well then you need to fucking put your life and your blood and your energy into like think about all the time that we've put into Bitcoin, other than just capital, right? Which you had to expend time to acquire the capital in the first place. Your life is in this thing. Like for me, it's 6 years. For you, I think it's a little longer, right? When did you come in?
Probably around the same.
Okay, so yeah, we have 6 years of our fucking life into protecting this thing, investing in this thing, nurturing this thing. Like you have to go all the way if you're going to win, and it requires that religious level of commitment. You know, the Ethereum crowd, they don't believe in the future they're selling, because they're all holding Bitcoin in reserve. They're hedging with Bitcoin. I don't fucking hedge with Ethereum. Ethereum sucks. Well, there's like this new crowd. There's this new crowd of ETH maximalists, like Trustless State, or who's the other guy, Ryan S. Adams, whatever. And those guys are just.
Oh, I'm sure they own Bitcoin. These two, I'm sure they own Bitcoin.
I think they're lying also.
I don't think they're saying they're not. Are they? I don't know. I'm not looking.
No, at least one of them has said, "I'm not holding any Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a shitcoin."
Really?
Yada yada yada. And if you look at what they do, all they do is attack Bitcoin narratives, or subsume Bitcoin narratives, or subvert Bitcoin narratives, right? Like,
yeah, they just
when
go on Twitter and attack people. That's awful. Who does that?
when the Ethereum crowd started saying that they were more deflationary than Bitcoin, right? Or that they were better than money than Bitcoin, it was like the most laughable thing I've ever heard in my life.
It is laughable.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, but is there no choice that we're, maybe we could learn something from shitcoiners? Like, they have like privacy coins, right? So in some privacy coins, you could say there's legit tech going on there that maybe is interesting. Now, there's another argument that you can have about the economics of it, and maybe it sucks, and that's a reasonable argument.
Yeah.
But you can still, like, if you're not going to look at it at all, then maybe you're missing out on things you can learn for Bitcoin. And
that's true. I never bemoan like Bitcoin's technical contributors who are digging into this kind of stuff, but I'm not one of Bitcoin's technical contributors. I'm one of Bitcoin's like white blood cells, immune cells, and I'm just here for the cultural aspect.
You're not technical.
Yeah, well, I'm probably a little more technical than Peter McCormick, but not that much more technical.
That was
no offense against
Peter. I said that for this guy over there. I said that for him. I knew he will find it funny. Sometimes I make jokes for just one person. Yeah, it's a thing. Anyways, yeah, okay. So you're saying only technical people should care about shitcoins? Maybe.
Should research shitcoins, yeah, to see if basically, like I would never like Andrew Polstra is, going and checking out the MimbleWimble protocol and seeing how it works and everything, blah blah blah, I wouldn't be like, oh, he's a shitcoiner, man. No, I wouldn't. I would never do that, right? It's like when people say Nick Szabo is a shitcoiner too. It's like,
Right.
smart people need to be allowed to look into things. But like, if you're asking me where I'm putting my capital and my time and my energy and my resources, none of those things are proven in the slightest. I mean, yes, some of them have high market cap, right? But like, I can't. I don't have a good answer actually for why they have such high market cap still. I think it's just amazing when you have no regulation what'll happen and how long schemes can proliferate for is the lesson there.
Can you hear me okay? Because people are saying that my audio is not good. Is my audio okay?
You're a little glitchy.
I'm a little bit glitchy. Okay. I'm gonna head out and come back. It'll take me a minute, less. It'll take me 10 seconds. Before that, I'll try to unmute everyone so they're not bored. Yeah, and I'll be back in 10 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Let's see.
MZ, have your audio issues too?
Yeah. I
So,
checked back.
no, I mean because you were laughing about your headset.
Yeah, it's not me. It's him.
That's a new table,
Yeah.
not tested.
Yeah, thanks for alerting him.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but
Yeah.
Am I better now?
oh yeah,
You sound good.
Yes.
better.
Yes.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay. Muting everyone again. I'll just pull up my questions here because I'm prepared, man. I've written down questions. That's how prepared I am.
Hell yeah.
So, fine. So that's shitcoins. Not a fan, but you accept
Yeah, can I ask-
that some
can I
people
ask you a-
might look at them. Sure,
Can
you
I
can.
ask you a question? I
Of
never
course.
understand where you're actually at with the Ethereum community. Have you owned some Ether in the past and then you believed in it for a while and then you fell out of it? Like, what's the story there?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer your question. Before I answer it, I'm gonna say that everything I say is made up. It's science fiction. Okay, so the answer is, so for my stance in the Ethereum community, I think most of them don't like me. That's my general impression. I don't know why, and I did own ETH. Yes, I owned ETH before most of them probably ever heard about crypto. I did believe in it for a while. I think that makes me a person who I do not. Well, I don't want to say any blanket statements. I don't own any significant amount of ETH. No.
So it's interesting because are you holding the small amount of ETH you're holding as a hedge or because you believe in ETH?
No, if I happen to own any ETH, it's a small amount that I forgot about or something like that. It's not.
Oh, gotcha. But when you were holding it, you believed in it.
Yes.
And what narrative?
I mean, recently I was bullish on ETH very recently, like just a few months ago.
Because of the Ponzi scams?
Before that, actually.
Really? What made you bullish about it?
Just short-term bullish, because I'm very attuned to the Ethereum communities, you might know.
Right.
So you can see when people are getting excited. It's just
you were trading. Right.
You could say that.
See,
Someone might say that.
I was trading it back in 16 and 17, but I never fucking believed in it. I viewed it like a hot potato.
I used to believe in it very early in Ethereum. Yes, I mean, what's believing, right? I used to be optimistic about it.
And the narrative
about it. I subscribed to the vision and narrative. Yeah.
Right. So you believed in the world computer narrative, basically.
Yes.
That was the one that got you.
Well, I mean, you know what's believed in. I thought that it's possible that it might work out, and with time, like I was playing around with the Ethereum testnet before it was launched, and like I was building like small smart contracts to see what it is, right?
Yeah.
And like tiny things, and it seemed interesting. It seemed cool, so I said, yeah, you know what? It seems interesting. But that's it. I mean, and after a while, I realized what's going on. I realized that it doesn't seem to make sense to me, so I stopped being bullish about Ethereum.
Got it.
So
yeah, I just the only reason I ask is just because I was curious, because I never knew because it's hard to tell when someone's trolling. Like, are they serious? Are they earnest? Are they just making fun of it?
Well, I told you everything I said now is science fiction. It's not true. Just to
understood. Understood.
But yes. But yeah, and it is funny in a way, that Ethereum people are so, not all of them, but some of them are so mad at me sometimes. Like, I would think that if someone was there, believed in it for a while, really looked into it seriously with an open mind, and after a while just came back and said, you know what, I don't like this, even though it went up in value and everything. That should be enough to just say this guy is not. But it's not some closed-minded guy who doesn't care. But yes, you're right. They're gonna hate me for it.
No, it's because of the Tron.
It's really my
the Tron meme. The Tron meme really pissed them off big time, which was genius. I mean, it was a masterstroke on your part.
The Tron thing was a lot of fun, and it's too bad Justin Sun turned up to be a mass murderer or whatever it is that they said on The Verge. I'm not sure.
What's the difference between him and Vitalik?
Did you see that article?
Yeah, I read it. I didn't think it was shocking in the slightest. No, I was like, of course, really this is what goes on. Yeah, this is what goes on in Bitcoin companies, What's funny is...
Yeah, it seems like you just wrote an article about shitcoins. Why are people surprised? This is what it's like.
You know what's funny, man, is a lot of people reach out to me, like just in the DMs and whatever, and they're like, they're maximalist accounts, and they're like, hey, dude, I can't tell you which one it is, but I work at a shitcoin, a big shitcoin, and I'm in their research department, and basically we went through all the stuff and POS and this and that, and we told them all it doesn't work, and only Bitcoin is going to work, and they kept us all on payroll and told us just to shut up, and so now I'm taking the money from them, and I'm using it to buy Bitcoin, and I'm just keeping my mouth shut, basically. And I was like, that happens way more than you think it's happening.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. It also happens, though. I mean, I've worked with some shitcoin companies. That's not a secret. And some of them, they have, like, some of the employees are completely brainwashed sometimes. Yeah, not all of them, but some of them, sure. You believe in some of them do believe in this crap, which is almost amazing. But
sometimes the founders delude themselves into believing in it, right? Which is the most hilarious because they have the most to lose. It's like,
and you're supposed to know, what, are you fooling yourself? Yeah.
Right. I respect the mercenary founders, like the guys who are like, I know that this is a shitcoin, I know it doesn't work, and I'm gonna fucking dump it on all you poor idiots like Charlie Lee did with Litecoiners when Charlie Lee dumped all the Litecoin on them at the top, and then he flipped it into BTC. He's not gonna ever say that, but that's what he did. Because he knows. He's been around since the beginning, right? So it's like, I respect it. I respect it if you have the right unit of account.
That's good. I'm sure he's happy to have your respect too.
Oh no, I don't like him as a person.
You don't? He might be here. No, I don't think he's here right now. He's here sometimes. Would you do a boxing match if he was here?
VR boxing match?
Yeah.
He'd probably beat me because he's a nerd. But
yeah. Okay. Also, he can pronounce pleb and you can't. So that's also one thing that he has on him.
All right.
Well, fine. So look, here's something I'm always, I don't know, I'm always not sure about. So people sometimes, we have this thing about being toxic, right?
Right.
And some people view it as a virtue.
Right.
And a common theme that I hear a lot, and I mean it happened to me personally too, is that people will say, well, I've been like very loud and toxic on Twitter or whatever, and then I had some noobs reach out to me in DMs or whatever, and they told me, In the beginning, I thought you were an asshole, a maximalist, whatever, and then I started listening, and because you were so assertive or whatever, I listened to you, and you saved me a lot of money, you saved me a lot of trouble, whatever. It's a common theme. It happened to me a few times, and people are saying it happens to them a lot. That's great, and I'm sure that exists. But also, first of all, probably some people listened to someone being toxic on Twitter, and due to that did not invest in something that would have made them a lot of money, actually.
Right.
That could have happened. And
It goes both ways. Yeah.
Yes. And also they might have listened to someone, thought that they're just being a dick, and went ahead and make the wrong decisions because of that. There could, you have all types of people, right?
Yeah. So
is it really useful for noobs to see people act that way, or what do you ever think about that at all?
Here's the thing: is if we had this is all open source and non-regulated stuff, right? So in the early 1900s or late 1800s, early 1900s, things were much more unregulated than they are now. And Coca-Cola Company emerged, and that was the Bitcoin of its time. But then there were also a shitload of competitors that were just ripping off Coca-Cola Company and literally calling themselves the Coca-Cola Company. And so the Coca-Cola had 13 or 14 other Coca-Colas that they had to go around squashing, by legal means or extra legal means. I think there was a lot of intimidation, enforcement and stuff. This was the late 1800s. They probably just put a gun to your head and said, "You're not the Coca-Cola Company anymore," right? So I think in a lot of ways it's like that. It's like Wild West. There's this modern idea we have that there are teams of lawyers and it's all sorted out through the legal system, and you can't say things that are untrue because one person will sue the other person. That's not how it works in the Wild West. You just have fucking gangs of marauders who go around doling out fucking street justice, frontier justice, and that's what toxic maximalists are, right? And so, just like in the Old West, do they go too far, kill the wrong guy? Street justice is not actually it's not a great idea. So yeah, of course. I think that there are trade-offs. We definitely go too far. People like Dieter Bob are fucking horrible shit stains on the entire space, and they're the exception that proved the rule, right? And it's you're supposed to be attacking ideas here, not necessarily people most of the time. So I think if you can stick to that, you're good. And I don't necessarily always stick to that myself, but I would hold myself
not necessarily
to that.
I like that. I do not necessarily stick to that. That's very. You could run for president. I think you're ready. You're better than Biden, that's for sure. I should say that you're better than both of them. Why did I?
Thank you, sir.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Go for it. It's not. It's not a lot. It's not the biggest compliment you ever got.
And we got to remember too about the toxic thing is that in the early days, it was just us absorbing an attack on us. It wasn't necessarily a virtue we were looking to project outwards. It was we were labeled toxic, and your Samson was labeled toxic, and that's where the hats came from and the whole thing. And then it became a virtue because Bitcoin's very maximalism too, right? Maximalism is an attack on us also that we absorbed and made it part of our personality. And I think we're great at doing that, but we also got to remember, we weren't going around being outwardly assholish to people in the early days. We were just saying, that doesn't work. That's not how things are. That's never going to work, right? It was just stuff like that, right? Explain to me what a world computer is. Oh, man, it's this thing, and it's the whole world, and it's a computer, right?
Yeah. It's very hard to debunk those things sometimes, so it's easier to just be a maximalist too. You have to say, whatever, man. It's not Bitcoin.
I think we all got in 2017, especially during the bull run and stuff. I think we all spent way too much time trying to take people through a first principles analysis of why their ideas were wrong. It's okay, let me explain to you in a 30-tweet thread why what you said is incorrect about fucking proof of stake systems or whatever, right? And that just doesn't work. The person doesn't listen. So now it's just become quippy little memes, have fun staying poor. It's just hey, have fun staying poor, right?
Right.
Which is it's a meme that you repurposed, but you repurposed it for good use,
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, I'm going to change it up a bit. this is more or less, I would say, what you look like in real life. Maybe not as young, maybe. But look, here's a question for you. So why did you decide to sort of dox yourself? Because your face is out there. People know what you look like.
Oh, that's easy, because I was drunk.
So that's all that's needed. Just get you drunk and you do stupid shit. Because that's
I was
a big decision.
drunk, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to come on camera?" I was like, "Fuck it, whatever, let's go."
Because you seem to really care about that before.
Well, also it was like, I'm not a very private person actually in real life, right? But like that's sort of the ethos of this space and everything. And you remember back in the day, people who had their real names and faces, 9 out of 10 times, they were scammers. And it was the Anon accounts who were the good guys, right? So I was like, I don't want to be one of these people who's seeking attention for myself ahead of Bitcoin, so I'm just going to slide in and be an Anon account with everybody else, But then I was like, over time, I was like, yeah, it's getting hard to keep it up because I just don't fucking care that much about it,
And you don't think it's a mistake for people like us to be like open face, public about Bitcoin stuff?
I think in the early days with single sig and like when people were using paper wallets and hot wallets and stuff like that, yeah, it was probably certainly a mistake at that time. And I think now though, security is getting much better, and I think we're going to get even better than where we're at now in 10 years time. So there's always like you gotta. It would cost a lot to attack me, for instance, right? It would have to be a very calculated attack. There's a lot of places.
And just getting close to you is like expensive.
Well, it's a very cheap form of body armor, basically, right? You just throw your Axe body spray out the window, and then you're good. So yeah, I don't worry about it as much as I used to because I use multi-sig and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's fair. I'm gonna push back a bit, and I'm just gonna say that if anyone's like any noob is watching this right now, take your time, stay pseudonymous or whatever, just stay off Twitter even, whatever. It's you can always reveal your face if you want to, strategically at some point, but you can't unreveal it. So I would take your time. Be sure that's not just for security reasons. Security reasons are one reason, but also like why do you need people to know? Like you wouldn't go and talk about your bank statements probably on Twitter. Like why would you? It's just it's.
Yeah, I still try and keep myself mainly anonymous. I mean, people have seen my face and everything, but I'm not. It's not like I'm always out there being like, "Here, look at me," right? Like most of the time, I'm just the old guy that's up there.
No, you're good. You're good. I think you're doing a good job. I'm just saying generally, if someone's,
better. Yeah, I would recommend. I think the reason to stay anon on Twitter too is just so you can speak your mind, right? Like with all the people getting canceled and shit like that. Like,
true.
I don't have a real job, but if you have a real job, there's a real threat of you losing your job. Like for even saying something as simple as "all lives matter" or whatever, you can get you fired, right? So. Go anon and don't connect your views to your personality or your real life identity,
Right, and then you can speak your mind, right?
Exactly.
Say what you think instead of what people want to hear.
Exactly.
Well, which brings me to if we're talking about what people want to hear, you have a tendency to say things that people don't want to hear, which gets you to end up without your Twitter account. This seems to happen like every month, more or less. Like, how many Twitter accounts did you lose? How many Twitter accounts got suspended for you?
I've had like 12 or 15 different Twitter accounts, I'm sure.
What are you doing? How?
Well,
why?
Just, it's like, it's almost like hacking, like just trying to find like, but it's like social hacking, like just trying to find the thing that you can say that will get you banned on Twitter. And the more innocuous, the better, right? Like, yeah, basically, like the more innocuous, the better. It creates cognitive dissonance, right? Like trolling is a sort of a rhetorical art form, as you well know. And so, if I control the network that we're all trolling from, it's like even better. It's like meta trolling or something. But like the last time I got banned, I said Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent, and he's the Wisconsin shooter, the Kenosha shooter, right? And I said Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent until proven guilty, which is a tenet of basic law in most of the developed nations on Earth, right? And so why am I being banned for that if you are not some sort of Orwellian thought police, which you very clearly are, but you're saying the opposite? And I think like it's just like Ethereum, man. It's like these are the word of our times is obfuscation. Everybody is trying to obfuscate what their actual motives are, what their intentions are, what they're actually doing, and Twitter is really bad about that. And so are all the tech giants, you know, Google, Facebook, Amazon, etc. So it's like I don't know. I like being the David throwing rocks at that particular Goliath, and it just gives me joy to find those things that can get me banned, right?
So it's a hobby, basically.
Yeah, it's a hobby. It's also a good way of deleting my account and keeping my getting all my old tweets gone.
What do you like? How do you migrate people over the new accounts? How do people know where to find you?
At this point, American HODL's just become like a brand, and it's like clout without actual clout. Like people know, you know, people in the space know who I am and shit. So I don't have to actually have the followers. And to be honest, you know, once your Twitter account gets above like 10,000 followers, it's fucking annoying to interact on your own Twitter. Like it becomes way less fun. You know, you're not as able to keep track of people. Like you're not as able to have those conversations that you were having. It just becomes like what you do, like just provoke. I'm just gonna keep like, you know, pushing shit out.
Well, my followers are all fake, so it doesn't really matter for me.
Right, that's true. I saw your engagement. It's not great.
Yes. It's all fake, man. They're all fake. I know who keeps buying fake followers from me, but you can stop now. It's really not necessary. Anyways. So okay, so you just start, but because someone could, you know, if some Ethereum person doesn't like you, they can just wait for you to say something stupid, get suspended, and then start a new Hoddle American account.
That's what often happens, basically.
So why don't you try like something off of Twitter? Why don't you have like AmericanHODL.com with all of your bullshit listed there? And
First of all, somebody else is squatting AmericanHODL.com and they're promoting shit. They're promoting shit coins on it, so that sucks. I'll never. That was a missed opportunity for sure. And yeah, because of network effects, man. It's the same reason we're all on Twitter. Twitter is the speech network, right?
But I agree, but you're killing your network effects like every month. So
yeah, but there's this there's this superset of network effects that it's like, you know,
true.
It still goes on outside. The idea of American HODL is an idea, right? It doesn't like exist on Twitter. It exists in people's mind.
I feel like I should be kissing your feet now. Like the idea of American HODL is, I feel like I'm in the presence of an idea.
It did sound a bit grandiose the way I said it, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. You know,
like if I could, I would make your avatar like this much bigger right now. They just don't have, you know, like they just have you grow.
It's like tower.
But unfortunately, they don't. Yes, but unfortunately, they don't have. If you go with us to VR chat later, then you can probably do that somehow. You can probably pull it off. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm just throwing out ideas. You know that people are, you know, Balaji, right?
Right.
He keeps saying that people should get off Twitter, and that
there's
owns you.
There's no alternative, though. You know.
Yeah, true.
Where do you go?
His idea is, you know, start your own alternative. You know, start your own, I don't know, blog and get people there. Yeah. And then, of course, it's not a replacement, right? But you can use Twitter and things like that to drive traffic to your thing instead of.
Well, that's the entire idea of Web3, right? I mean, like that's what people want Web3 to be, and I think we will get
Web
there.
It's Web 2 too. It's Web 2 as well, I guess. You know, just build a fucking website. People did that since the 90s.
Look at Alex Jones, right? Who has a massive following on his own website. He's been unpersoned by big tech and his reach in the public sphere in you know, like sort of the mainstream institutional narrative or the gated institutional narrative is highly diminished because he doesn't pop up on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook. So he's not part of the national conversation, right? It's just an echo chamber with him and all the other people who are mildly retarded. Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point.
Right.
I would imagine that probably what Balaji would reply would be around how you could, still use Twitter, use YouTube, use those tools to get an audience. Don't try to put it off Twitter, but try to have, just get a better negotiating stance by
right. I've heard that for a long time, which is like that's like the hub and spoke model, right? Where you own your own hub and you have all these different. It just doesn't in theory and in practice it doesn't work. Like you can't get the value back to your own hub. It's lost, right? Like it gets lost along the way. It's like building a pipeline with holes in it. And
that's true.
Yeah, I don't think we have the tools to do it yet. We're serfs on Mark Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey or whoever's plantation, and our job is just to fucking till the data, just like out there, just tilling that data, getting data for big
very
tech
optimistic
and for big government.
It makes me feel great about the future. That's awesome.
Wow,
that's awesome. So fine. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like getting people over to other stuff, it's obviously very difficult. But I think that the interesting point would be that a lot of businesses do that. And if you're going to be a successful digital business, then you don't want to depend on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but you do want to use them to get to promote yourself, to get an audience, to get customers, but you don't want to depend on them. So a lot of businesses do that successfully, but it seems like individuals usually don't. Like if you go to a lot of like TikTok influencers, YouTube influencers that have like huge followings, they're usually unable to escape that. Like they can't really.
I think of I think do you know Casey Neistat, who's like that YouTuber, right? If you go to his website, it just has his Twitter, his YouTube, and his whatever, like Facebook, LinkedIn, right? So like he's got like an inverse hub and spoke model going on basically. Yeah, and I think that's just where we're at right now because that is the most efficient and the most effective for the high majority of people. The problem is because of the capture, you have people, it's. And you can tie this all back to the fact that we don't have the correct incentives built into the web, right? Like we don't have payments on the web, basically. So I can't just directly pay for the services that I'm utilizing. I have to.
You start to sound like an Ethereum person.
Well,
just letting you know.
Let's not forget that all of these ideas come from Bitcoin before they were ever in Ethereum. This was what we called Bitcoin 2.0 before Ethereum launched, right? And smart contracts are a Bitcoin thing that Ethereum took and made a fake fucking scam platform on top of.
They didn't make some things that work, let's be fair. Some things, marginally work.
Nothing works on Ethereum.
Okay.
If you look at it if you look at its market cap and then like what's happening, it's nothing. Remember this phrase that everybody was saying, like Peter McCormack and everybody, they're like, I just can't. That's a terrible McCormack.
Was that your Peter McCormack impression?
I can't do it. But he was saying, he was like, I just can't ignore something like MakerDAO, right? And I hit him up like a month ago, and I was like, hey Peter, do you remember MakerDAO? And he was like, nope, haven't thought about it until right now. I was like, oh, so I guess you can ignore something like MakerDAO.
Mm-hmm. True.
Ethereum is a fucking zero. How do I make a zero? I can't do it. That's a 1.
You can't do a 0.
Zero. It's a fucking 0.
It's kind of a 0. Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, it's true that hype
You know how
around
we say
Ethereum projects
99
seem to be
point-
short-lived. That's true.
We say like 99% of the things on Ethereum are crap. What's the 1%? Like, someone fucking tell me what it is. I'd love to know.
Well,
That's right. There's nothing.
I can play that part if you want. I don't know if I want to, but I can. Like every Ethereum person worth his salt will say Uniswap at this point in time as an answer.
Yeah, but isn't
be fair,
Uniswap just the new? Isn't that just the new MetaMask, right? Like,
well, no, it's not really related to MetaMask in any way, but it's a way to, like, you have two shit coins, you can convert between them basically. But
got it. So it's like Shapeshift.
It's like Shapeshift, but not without Shapeshift.
So all
Or
they're
rather,
doing is-
anyone could provide liquidity,
Right.
not just Shapeshift.
So that's a regulatory arbitrage play, because who's behind it? There has to be some central point of failure in that system, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I wouldn't say there's a specific. It's just you could say it's a protocol for swapping coins. You could build that without Ethereum too. You could have a protocol for atomic swaps between Bitcoin and Litecoin
Right.
and whatever.
Right.
And it's just a standardized protocol, and you can have liquidity providers that provide liquidity, and because it's standardized, anyone can do it.
Right.
And then you could still say people who are providing liquidity, they're maybe breaking the law because they're not doing KYC and whatever, and maybe
Yes, you just go
authorities
attack
after them.
You go attack all the node operators.
Yeah, so you could say that, but that's kind of hard. I mean, that's a lot of people
Yeah, that's
go
true.
after, and they could hide. On Ethereum, they're not doing a very good job hiding. They're doing very
So you're
bad
saying
job
I
hiding.
should look into Uniswap? Uniswap is dope.
This is not what I'm saying. No. As I said before, I do not want to take this part, but if I have to, I can. So I'm just saying this is what they would say. It does work. I mean, it functions. I can give you a lot of reasons why I don't think it goes anywhere, but it definitely functions.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We can build a lot of Rube Goldberg type machines that function. I mean, that's not exactly
For
a
what?
high bar. Yeah.
Well,
for a
yeah.
while.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you, like, circle back to privacy, because I don't want to talk about Ethereum anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
You had this tweet where you said, and well, we talked about this one yesterday. Yeah, you can do that, sure, fine.
Right.
And we talked about this. No one's laughing, man. It's embarrassing. Come on, stop.
Bro, you got them all muted. Bro.
True. Okay, fine. They're laughing here. There you go. So we talked about that yesterday, and we talked about it on
CoinJoin,
Twitter a few
yeah.
weeks ago, the whole CoinJoin thing, and you said that you want to maybe do CoinJoin, maybe not,
Yes.
maybe
Well,
try getting, like, why are you interested in that?
Mainly just because Matt keeps telling me I need to be interested in it. I mean, honestly,
That's it.
Like, I
So
don't
Matt is
feel
doing
like
a good
there.
job.
I don't feel like there are very strong incentives around privacy for most people, and that's one of the big problems is if you don't have that wide scale sort of base chain privacy, like the people that are using the private services are just going to always be the people that you're going to go after if you're the authority, right?
Right. Well,
And also, I mean, the way American authorities are going to look at CoinJoins is they're going to make some changes in that. Right, they're not illegal yet. But you can imagine they look at it as money laundering, and they're going to soon make them illegal at some point. I'm not saying that's not the reason I don't do them. I don't do them because I don't really see a need for privacy, right? But I did I put out that thread, and I do mean it, that I want to do the whole like James Bond, like clandestine, like fucking wear a mask and the hoodie and like go into Walmart with cash and buy a burner phone and then go to the fucking Bitcoin ATM and then buy KYC free Bitcoin and then mix it all up, keep it on a cold card that I like shove up my ass. You know what I mean? I want to do the whole.
you don't
thing.
have
Just
to shove it up your ass, man. It's really not part of the process. You can
ask yourself,
But
why is the open dime rounded? Huh? Why is it rounded?
True.
So
I
it
never
can go
thought
up your
about
ass.
that.
Think about it. But yeah, I want to do it just for fun and for like Twitter points, honestly. But like, if it was just me by myself, all I really care about is hodling and, you know, wealth accumulation, wealth preservation. Like, those are the things that really get me excited because,
Right.
you know, trying to evade
That's a
state
good, honest
governments
answer.
is
I like
difficult.
that answer.
Yeah.
You know, Matt was here, I think, about a month ago, and I asked him about that. And Matt said, I'm rephrasing, that's not exactly what he said, but he said generally that, you know, there are many reasons to protect your privacy. Some are like, well, I can tell you that. Some are like, you don't want people to, like, let's say, you know, I send you some coins. You don't want me to be able to know what you're going to do with those coins afterwards. That's not, it's counterintuitive, and obviously it's none of my business. So you want to make sure that I can see that. That's one reason. You also pointed out, like, you know, possible potential political reasons in the future, like what happens if you live in a country that just forbids you to hold Bitcoins.
So I have this talk with Matt all the time, and he's right. He says that I have an American-centric point of view, and that if I thought more globally, you know, I would see things that way. And he's right, 100%. That is how it is, right? I think the thing is, though, you know, if you look at it from a 30,000-foot view, privacy was just this thing that humanity had by default, because we didn't have fucking satellites up in the air, and you know, we didn't have all these communication channels, and you were just alone in the middle of the woods, and nobody gave a fuck about you, right? Like, they'd see you when you came into town or whatever. But now we're at the place where they can literally, from a satellite, track the conversation that's going on inside your house from the vibration on the fucking glass and shit like that. And it's like, I don't know that we can turn back the tide on that whole thing. So there may be some benefit to just being out in the open and being like, you can't criminalize our actions, and, you know, going at it the basically if you go about it the judiciary route, you know, through law, it's a much harder path than just like building the tools that make it so that nobody can fuck with you. And so, like, I always support the open source code stuff and all the privacy stuff and everything, because that's the better path. But for me, I don't know, if I'm being totally honest, I just can't bring myself to care, you know? Like, that much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you think that it never could possibly become a problem in the States where you would say, well, you know what, I wish that I kept more of this secret. Like, fine, it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna cost you a life, right? That's not what we're talking about.
Well, it could,
but maybe like,
right,
it could in some places. But like, maybe, you know, maybe you're just saying, you know what, maybe this wasn't for the best. Like, maybe it would have been, you know, you just have more power if no one knows about it.
I think it's you know, if that happens in America, I think we're at a place where Bitcoin has, like, you know, ostensibly failed, right? Like, because we weren't able to prevent that capture. And so you ask yourself, it's like, yes, we're going to have to fight the state. That's non-negotiable. That's going to happen before we can reach some Bitcoinized future. But are we going to, like, evade the state and hide? And you know what I mean? Like, that reality doesn't make as much sense to me as tilting straight at the state and co-opting them via, because the thing that Bitcoin does better than anything, like, it doesn't do privacy that well. We can be honest about that. Like, it's gotten a lot better, but, you know, it's the way, just from the way it works, it broadcasts all transactions, and you're always going to be able to pick up stuff. And so, you know, the thing it does really well, though, is monetize, incentivize human greed for its own end. And so getting it into the hands of the politicians and everything. And I think, you know, for a time period, it's going to be co-opted by the state so that the state can maintain its power. And that will be seen as a failure by the guys who are super hardcore privacy, right? But it's not a failure. It's just a Trojan horse on the way to a Bitcoinized future. At least, like, that's the way I see it playing out in reality. Because you're not going to be able to. Right. And the other thing is, the way regulatory bodies and agencies look at stuff like this is, if you're doing right or wrong, right? Because this is not right. It's ethically immoral the way they look at it. But if you're doing something active in order to protect your privacy, rather than doing something passive, you already got red flag, right?
Right.
So you're
Sure.
already on a list for participating. And so like what we need is the passive version of it, where it doesn't require you to jump through a bunch of hoops and go through all these extra steps and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, it's an open-ended question about how the fight with the state is going to be and how things are going to shake out. But ultimately, the two have to come to a head at some point, right?
Yeah. And I agree with you that the future where people are all like, hiding underground, wearing masks. Well, we're already all wearing masks.
Fuck that.
But
Yeah.
it's not very, it's not desirable and also not very realistic. I agree with that. But just having the option as a sort of a threat, you can say, hey, you know what? If you're not going to meet us in the middle, this is a possibility.
One thing about I agree. Like, I would never say don't be private, right? Like, I would never say don't use these tools. I'm just saying how I see it from my vantage point, and that's from my vantage point, Because one thing is, like, especially here in America, money is speech, and Bitcoin is money. And so the more money you have, the more speech you have. There are these graphs where, like, if you're the average pleb, your political influence goes like this on the graph. And if you're a wealthy corporate donor, your political influence has been going like this since the 1970s, since the fiat standard was introduced, right? And so wealthy people get what they want in American society. And I think that's the method that we're going to use in order to see the future we want come about. But there is going to be a time period where it's going to seem like the state has co-opted it and it has gotten control of Bitcoin, basically.
That's possible. I don't know. I'm not an American. I don't know. It's not
it's just
problem,
one version. Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you guys will just do whatever we tell you.
Well, you could argue about that. Some people would say it's the complete opposite, but I'm not going to open that here. It's not in my best interest. I'm not going to go there. So, you mentioned the kind of privacy by default and passive and not passive privacy. So do you maybe want to use that opportunity to tell us about MimbleWimble Coin, your latest venture? Yeah, can you do a retelling of that event for people who weren't there? Because it's an amazing story.
This was at the Tone Bay's Unconfiscatable Conference in Vegas. And I live in Vegas. Like, I went to the conference. Trace also, well, I can't say. Anyway.
Trace, whatever. Trace is, he used to be like, you used to be a fan, right? A Trace fan.
Oh, man. I was such a big fan of Trace, because, back in, for people that are new, like, the fucking Bitcoin content space is popping right now, right? Back in 15, 16, like, there was nothing, right?
Right.
And I don't even think Noted was
Bitcoin Talk
around. Yeah, it was Bitcoin Talk, and you had to listen to Andreas talk about shitcoins and stuff. And so Trace was running, this pretty bullish podcast called the Bitcoin Knowledge Podcast, and he'd do like a week-long series with Adam Back and stuff like that. And he was always on there talking about Bitcoin going to $2.8 million a coin and all that. So I'd walk around and listen to this podcast and just get super hyped. And then it was like when 2017 rolled around, I was like, oh shit, Trace was fucking right. He was so right, And so anyway, I was a big fan of Trace, and I saw him at the conference, and I went up. I was going to do Adam Meister's show, right, which is the thing I doxed myself on. And so I was like, hey, what's up, man? Just want to say, like, big fan, blah, blah, blah. And he was reading, like, code, which was like, he had it printed out on paper, and he was sitting there reading it.
Oh, really?
He was like,
he was reading code off paper?
He was reading code off paper.
I've never seen that in my life.
Well, it's social signaling, obviously, right? Like, it's an act, right? Like, nobody's actually reading code off paper. Yeah, I know. And anyway, so he showed me he was reading this code. He was like, very cryptically, like, do you know anything about this? And I was like, No, I don't know. And so anyway, Adam Meister comes up and is like, hey, do you want to come on the show with us? I went on the show. I doxed myself. I was all giddy like a schoolgirl because I was all happy to meet Trey. So I was like, this is the guy right here.
Right.
Like, I love this guy. And then immediately afterwards, we walked to the after party, and Trace like took a liking to me immediately, probably because I was like blowing smoke up his ass, right? And so me and him on our own, he like Surfer Jim was with me, but he told Surfer Jim to fuck off, and he made Surfer Jim go away, which I felt bad about, but I also wanted to hear what he had to say. Anyway, so we walk over. It's like an hour of me just talking to Trace one-on-one, and then he starts laying out the whole thing for me about MimbleWimble Coin and how he, bought up all the airdrop coins, and he's 50% of the market, and he's gonna dump it and all this. And to be honest with you, at first I'm like, all right, cool. Trace is rich as fuck. He's a whale. If I can get in on this trade, I can flip it for some Bitcoin. And so I was like, hell yeah, like let's do it. I'll ride your fucking coattails on this, And because hey man, if you have an opportunity to make more Bitcoin, like you take it. But then he starts telling me about how
that's Ethereum
he's
right
mad
there. Just described Ethereum.
Right.
Yeah,
and he starts telling me about how he's mad at Adam Back because Adam Back won't listen to him about MimbleWimble and getting MimbleWimble into the base protocol and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, so wait, what do you? But I'm like, Trace, what are you talking about? Like, you're the 7 networks effect guy. Like, are you really saying that like MimbleWimble Coin is going to overtake Bitcoin? And he was like, dude, MimbleWimble Coin is ghost money. It's going to overtake it like times 100. Bitcoin is fucking dead, like all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, man, like that was at that moment I was like, I got super bummed out because I was like, what the fuck? And anyway, then I got so drunk, like even drunker than I was, and I was hanging out with Jack Mahlers and Safety and all those guys. I went to play blackjack with Safety, who fucking sucks at blackjack. My God. I was funding him. I was letting him play with my money, and he kept losing money. I think he lost like $700 of mine, and it was a great like. I won. I pulled out $1,000 to play, and I won like $20,000 that night or something. So it was like the perfect like. Just went. It was so good, man. Anyway, but then when we were talking to Safe, we were talking with Safe and Johnny Dilly, and Safe was like, "Yeah, Trace fucking told me about this MimbleWimble shit too," and he goes, "I told him, I said, you're gonna waste your reputation on this, yada yada yada." And Safety took the little crumpled piece of paper that said, MimbleWimble Coin, and he took it from my hand because I showed it to him. I was like, "Look what he fucking handed me." He took it and he just threw it right in the trash, It was that was a fucking great moment. And then so I missed all the. There was a video of Giacomo like talking shit to Trace, like basically to his face about MimbleWimble Coin and what a scam it is at the after party. But but I missed it because I was getting drunk with Jack Mahlers. Anyway, I woke up the next morning. I told Matt Odell about it, like privately, and I was like, I'm gonna do a thread on it. And then I saw the video of Giacomo talking shit, and I was like, all right, I gotta like say what I know. So I just put it out there, and then nobody's seen Trace since, basically.
Yeah. You cancel Trace, man.
Dude,
I will say that there seems to have been somewhat valid reason, but he disappeared completely.
Yeah, I have mixed emotions about it for sure. But I think the part where Trace really crossed the line with the community was, like, okay, if you hear about somebody, shilling a shitcoin at a conference, you can be like, well, I don't know what his motivations were and this and that and blah, blah, blah. You can kind of dismiss it. But where he fucked up is he'd been laying the groundwork for this shill by going on podcasts, shit-talking Bitcoin privacy, and then talking about MimbleWimble.
He's been doing that for a while,
everybody saw it for what it was, which was like, it was this scheme to dump a bunch of MimbleWimble. And, in Trace's defense, I guess, he wanted the hardest core. The reason he told me he was shilling it at that conference, which is a stupid thing to do, shill it to a bunch of hardcore maximalists, but he was like, I want the hardest core people to be in this new coin, right? But it's like, yeah, but dude, we're hardcore for a reason. We're not gonna fucking. I think he just got too high on his own supply. Like he thought his reputation and everything.
It's so odd.
You know.
I don't understand it. Like, why? You know what? You're gonna shell a shitcoin. Why this one? Like, it seems like such an odd, poor choice, and I just don't get it.
By the way,
there are even other MimbleWimble coins. Like, why this?
Yeah, I know.
It seems to be very poorly executed.
Well, nobody had ever heard of it, right? Like MimbleWimble Coin, we'd never heard of it. We heard a grin
Maybe
and
just wanted to disappear, man. Maybe it's his boat.
It's 40. He does have that website called howtovanish.com. You know, that's Trace's website, apparently.
There you go.
So
really,
hey, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
that's it.
See, that's it. Because, come on, it just doesn't make sense. The story.
I'm
going to
say this too. So Trace, I've always seen as an eccentric billionaire guy, because he wears shitty Costco tennis shoes. And when I met him that night, he was driving a really old Isuzu Trooper, and I was like from the '90s, right? But then I was like, okay, this could be eccentric billionaire behavior. Or this could be a guy who really doesn't have as much money as he's been projecting all these years, So, I don't know what the whole thing.
Or that's his way to vanish. You just build the story of how you lost all your money and you had to get a shitty car and sell shitcoins.
He had a sock account. He had a sock account after that called the BTC Community, and all it did was talk about how great Trace was and shit talk me. Which was fucking hilarious.
That sounds fun. That sounds fun.
He got caught after just a few days, and people were like, "Oh shit, it's Trace."
Well, I don't know anything about that. I can only say it's not me. That's the only thing I know. If he asks, do you let Trace into the Citadel when you build it or whatever?
Well, yeah,
let him in.
I think I would forgive. The only person in Bitcoin I can't really forgive is Roger Ver. I don't think I can ever forgive Roger Ver.
Really? If he comes at you and says, "You know what? I was wrong. Everything I said was wrong. It was all a mistake."
I'd be like, "You got to sit out in the cold, Roger. Sorry, go fuck yourself."
You don't let him into the Citadel? That's
Roger.
Harsh,
Roger can never come back. Because he was engaged in an all-out attack on Bitcoin from multiple angles and for multiple months, and fuck that guy,
Well, you're not invited to the Bitcoin Cash Citadel, so there you go.
It's just one bodega, and it's Roger convincing the store owner to take Bitcoin Cash. That's the whole Citadel,
Yeah. Do you think it happens? Do you think the Citadel thing ever becomes a reality? The meme becomes true?
I think it's kind of retarded, the way it's conceptualized, where you live in some medieval style fortress and stuff. But I do think the idea of taking your sovereign tribe from online, right? Bitcoin binds us in a way, and then moving into a physical location where you can have things more the way you want them. I think that is a great idea. And I think hopefully Bitcoiners can, sort of negotiate with the state to get regulatory zones, right? Where they can not necessarily sea setting, because that's retarded. Why go out to sea when you could just negotiate with the government to do it on land and, sort of run your own governance experiments and things like that. But the idea of us all being in a fortress is stupid as fuck. I think the Citadel is sort of like a metaphor for sovereignty. And as you become more sovereign, the bubble of sovereignty expands out from you, right? And then you have influence in that specific sphere. So some people who are really rich will have really big bubbles around them, and some, other people less so, right? But everybody's going to be a sort of a sovereign individual, and there will be sovereign collectives, right? And maximalist.
And even if you're not rich, you're gonna have fun staying poor. So
exactly.
Right. That's a positive.
You can play Israeli ping pong on the beach,
Exactly.
Which you play without a net and a ball, apparently. No, without a table.
No table, man. No table. I'm going to ask you one last question before I open it to questions from the audience. I'm going to do that too. Maybe someone puts you on the spot. You guys think about questions for now, but I'm going to ask you one last thing. Are people allowed to spend Bitcoins, or is that not allowed? Yes? Do you spend Bitcoins?
People are allowed
You don't
to
have
do
to
whatever
answer
they want.
that.
People are allowed to do whatever they want with Bitcoin. I'll tell you, I've probably spent 10 Bitcoins at this point, and I really regret that.
I've probably spent 10 Bitcoins this morning.
Because I did not get, what is that today, like $115,000. Like, I didn't get $115,000 worth of value out of that spend, so I would recommend not spending Bitcoins, honestly. But if you want to or you need to, then yeah, you should go for it. I'm not here to tell people what to do. I'm not like trying to gatekeep people. I'm just trying to tell people what I do. You know, I think you'll regret it. Like, everybody who's spent or sold Bitcoins up to this point has regretted it, unless you like perfectly timed the top and fucking bought back at 3,200 or whatever.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair answer. I want to open it to the audience, but your audio is breaking up a little bit. Do you remember I told you to fix that? Yeah. Do that. And in the meanwhile, you guys can think about questions. You're going to see a button on the bottom right of your screen that says raise hand. You can click that if you
back, right? Yeah.
You go to settings, and there's re-enter on the settings.
Now I remember. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll just unmute you for the second and a half. It takes him to come back. You can cough. You can tell jokes. Whatever you want, really. No, that's it. It's back. So I'm gonna mute you again. Was nice hearing all of your thoughts. So, okay. So here's what we're gonna do. So once again, on the bottom right of your screen, you're gonna see a button that says raise hand. So you can click that, and then you can ask questions. And I'm gonna start with the first one just in a minute. Let's see what do we have here. Okay, so FTB, go ahead.
Hey, I would like to hear more about the movie that you are making with Mr. Breedlove, and just sort of what the ambition there is.
So me and Robert want to make a sort of like a socio-cultural doc about Bitcoin, like, because I think, for me, like, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm a filmmaker and that's my background. I went to film school and everything, and Robert is obviously like a killer writer who we all know and love. So I teamed up with him. I was like, dude, why don't you write this doc and I'll produce it and we'll go forth and make it. And we made the pact that we were going to self-fund it, just in case we couldn't find any funding from anybody. But there's been a lot of interest expressed in that, so I think it's going well on that front. And basically, like, the Bitcoin documentary is up to date. Like something like banking on Bitcoin, they do all the wrong things, in my opinion. They focus on the how of Bitcoin, and not the why of Bitcoin, which is a huge mistake. Like, telling people how the technicals of Bitcoin work, or talking about how blocks propagate, or the fucking meme pool or something like that's so boring for regular people who are going to watch this. You want to get people excited and like kindle their passion about this issue. And so I think what we're trying to create is the historical context, like what you see in Breedlove's like Masters and Slaves of Money piece. And then we're also trying to do like the techno future piece of Bitcoin, which is the sort of like individual sovereign immortality concept for regular folks, so they can really like get a handle of it and understand like where humanity has been historically, what Bitcoin signifies, what that invention means for all of us, and then what it might unlock. And so that's like the high level view of it, and I'm excited about it.
Sweet.
Awesome. If there's any other questions, you can raise your hands now. If not, then I'll just ask you when you're gonna, like, what's gonna need to happen for you to switch to another coin. Is there anything that can get you to, like, hey, you know what, this coin is interesting?
So this might be, I guess, controversial, but I've always remained like open to the idea of another coin. I'm not maximalist because, I read some blog post. I became a maximalist. I'm a maximalist because it's common sense to be a maximalist at this point in time. I think the longer I've been in Bitcoin, the more I've just assumed that Bitcoin is our only shot. But I'd be open to being surprised if something were to happen. At this point, I cannot conceptualize what that is. It would have to be something akin to Bitcoin that is just so inconceivable right now to our understanding of how things work that it requires the same rabbit hole journey where you like fully fall in and you're so deep into it. But it's not going to be like minor privacy improvements or minor, speed improve, whatever, and all that kind of shit. And just, I think it's very unlikely for that to occur. Like, I would put it at a less than 0.01% like probability.
Oh, you're very bullish on shitcoins then. You're a huge believer. Trace was right to approach you. You're like you're the target audience, man. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think, I probably share the general close idea. I'm going to take a question from BTC Kitty. Go ahead.
Why 6.15?
This is one of those meme things that I just literally made it up, and I wanted to see if I could meme a random number into everybody's heads. And so, success! I did it.
Yeah. Looks like you made it, man. That's it. Nothing else. That's the only reason.
It's very unsatisfying too when people hear that answer. They're like, "What? I thought there was like a rationale behind it." It's like, nope. Literally just the first number I thought of.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when you're a Twitter addict like me, it becomes obvious. There's no sense in tweets. Don't expect logic.
One of the rationales for it that I made up after the fact was that it used to be 21 coins was like the meme, right? But that is so out of range for the normal person. And so you could say, okay, why don't we just make it 2.1 coins? But I think Bitcoin has increased in viability and reliability, and it's more likely to succeed now. So I think you got to get a little more skin in the game to get to that club number, right? Like, any number of Bitcoin is good.
But then it should be 6.3.
If you want to be shooting for the elite club, got to shoot for 6.15. So many people were like, did you mess up and mean to make it 6.25 because that's the block rule?
Exactly.
And I was like, no, I did not. I know what the fucking
that was very
block rule
annoying
is.
that you didn't go for 6.25. Very annoying.
Yeah.
I have OCD. That's a problem. Okay, thank you. Next question from MZ. If I can click the button. Yes.
Hello. My question is, you told us that you are like about 6 years into Bitcoin. How did you find out about Bitcoin, or
Yeah,
you
totally.
also tried other coins? And what's
So
your
my in 2011 or 12, I think it was early 12. Me and my friend were trying to buy dimethyltryptamine on the Silk Road, and we did all the research on it and everything, and found out about Bitcoin and how you need Bitcoin to buy the drugs. And then I got cold feet because it's a federal offense to send drugs through the mail, and so I was like, let's not do it. And then that same friend came to me in 2013 when the price went to like $1,300, and he was like, dude, Bitcoin's at $1,300. And I was like, oh my God. I just sat there like nursing my beer all night, and I was just like, this was my one chance to be rich, and I fucked it up. And so when the price cratered in late 2014, early 2015, it was like around 180 or 200. It was like at its absolute bottom. I know enough about investing to be like, now's a good time to buy some. So I bought some, I diversified, because I thought that was the smart thing to do. So I diversified into Ripple, Stellar, Dogecoin, and Ethereum didn't exist. Ethereum didn't exist yet, and I think Litecoin also. And so I printed all the paper wallets for those.
Excuse me, sir. Your timeline doesn't check out. Just want to say that.
What? Wait, what do you mean?
I'm going to stop you before you say any other falsehoods. This can't be true. Well, when the price went down to 160, 50, 80, whatever it was, in 2015.
Early 15.
Yeah, so when that happens, Ethereum already existed. It wasn't trading yet. So, but it was after the ICO.
No, it didn't exist yet. The pre-sale hadn't happened.
Oh, it existed because the Ethereum Foundation got burned because they raised bitcoins when it was around $600, and they held the bitcoins, or at least many of them, and until it crashed.
Well, it was all,
and then they sold you their bitcoins.
We'll have to look it up, but it was around that time when the pre-sale happened. It was like early 15 when the pre-sale happened, right?
Yeah.
It didn't happen in 14. There's no way, right?
I don't remember, but
it was so it's all right. It's around this. I can't remember specifically. I'm pretty sure I'm right and Udi's wrong, but anyway.
Do you want to? Let's do this again. Let's do this again.
Hey, fuck this guy. So anyway,
okay.
After about 2 weeks of reading more on our Bitcoin and stuff like that, I was like, oh, like all of these shit coins are fucking stupid. And I should get rid of them. So I got rid of all of them and just went Bitcoin only. And except for trading Ethereum to make more Bitcoin throughout 16 and 17, I pretty much have not touched any shitcoins. And I stopped doing that after 17. But yeah, because I mean, after the DAO hack, I assumed Ethereum was just fucking dead. And when it went back from like $7 to like, I think it was like 20 or 40 or something, I was like, oh, all right, like this is gonna go up like crazy. So I bought some and wrote it up, and that was a good trade, and I made a lot of Bitcoin off that. I mean, almost nothing. I have almost nothing.
Exactly. That's what you should have said. But yes, and also it's all science fiction. None of this is true.
Yes.
So it's okay.
Science fiction.
Yes. Okay. I think NSC wants to raise his hand but couldn't find a button. I'll try to let him ask a question. Let's see if I can do it. NSC should be seeing. Yep.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. Apologies, I don't know how to do that. Quick
All
question.
good.
Which HODL accounts do you control? There's obviously the American HODL. Then it kind of sounded like you memed female HODL. Then obviously you're not.
No, I said okay. The only one I control is HODL American 6.15. All the other ones are just people who are squatting or people who are hiding using American HODL, or people who have an offshoot account. There's gay HODL. There's female HODL. There's like. There's a lot of HODLs.
They're not you. None of them are you?
No, none of them are me.
Well, none of them are me either.
I only usually have one account at a time. I'm pretty sure Udi's gay HODL.
Well, I can see why you would think that, but I'm pretty sure that you say pleb and not plebe.
Pleb.
That's what I think. Just saying.
Pleb.
Fuck it.
I love this. This is amazing.
Pleb.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Okay. So, next question from Zoop Zoop. It's a nice name. Not a bad name.
Zoop Zoop.
Let's see. Zoop Zoop.
Yeah. Do you think the community is big enough and ready to onboard the people coming in the next bull run, if there is one?
I'm really confident about that, because I think the education sucked last time. And our memes sucked last time too. Like, we have to admit, we got out-memed by Ethereum, which is super embarrassing.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we got out-memed by Ethereum.
We're kind of getting out-memed by Ethereum right now too. Just saying. I'm man enough to admit that. Oh yeah.
You think?
They're doing a good job. For sure.
But we have stacking sats now. That's a big one. That's a forever meme. Think about it.
That's true.
But I think that there's so much more resources. I think the path to understanding is a lot quicker than it used to be. Because it used to be like, if you were going to be a person like me in 15 or 16, 14, 13 earlier, you pretty much had to have life experiences that led you to maximalism. And I think now we're at a place where you can intellectually grok it if you're smart enough. Like Bitcoin does rise in these, there's IQ troughs for adoption. I mean, you had to be a lot smarter than I am to grok this back in 2010 and understand the potential and then hold it all the way through. And then I think, you had to be pretty smart in 15, 16. And I think you're going to have to be a little less smart, and then it's going to keep going on. And like by 2052, people who have the IQ of a sponge will be able to easily understand Bitcoin because it'll be.
That's when I'm gonna buy Bitcoin.
Right, exactly.
That's when I'm gonna get in. Finally. Okay, that's a fair answer. And I think that's all the questions we have. Yes. Okay, so in that case, thank you, American HODL, the idea, for joining us. This was awesome. Yes, thank you, my pleb friend. And remember, really, this is the takeaway. Just say pleb and not plebe. That's the most important part. And thanks, Andrew and Ben, who helped with moderating today. And not that it was very difficult because I'm muting everyone, but still, nothing is difficult. This is VR. It wasn't difficult for you, right? You just showed up and basically played with your balls.
This is the longest I've ever worn a VR headset, and it hurts.
And you have more coming up because we're going out to VR chat now.
I'm excited.
And you're going to join us. So I'm going to help you join, but we're going to go to VR chat in about 15 minutes. I'm going to send the message on Telegram when I start the thing. Boom. And for anyone watching, just so you know, you can join us next week too. We do those every week. You can join with a VR headset. There's the new Oculus Quest 2, which is amazing, but you don't have to. You can do it. Thanks. That's awesome. You can do that with your PC too, or Mac or whatever. So you go to recklessvr.com and you sign up and you'll get notified about all the future meetups. We do those every week. We have some guests which are more cultured than American HODL. Some are less cultured. We have all types of guests. So yeah. And I'm gonna unmute everyone, and that's it. Have fun staying poor. And
hey, Hoddle.
Yes.
Hey.
Hello. My sushi
And you can-
is here.
No.
you can
Yeah,
call
staying
my
poor.
poor thing. So you can take a break,
Staying
or you
poor,
can
yeah.
hang out wherever you want to.
Okay, so I gotta go into VR chat, and then how do I get into the thing?
Chat. I would like to show you one
Sorry?
word here in us.
So
Oh, yes, you're up.
did
Turn off.
you get it yet? Did you install it yet?
I think I have it yet.
Do a port.
So what
My
you
favorite
do is
page
you
is
start
like,
VR chat, assuming you already have an
What's up,
account.
man?
You go to the VR chat menu, and you go to social. I'll send you that too on Telegram.
I have it back
You go
now.
to
Okay,
social,
cool.
you search for my username,
Yeah,
you
I
add me,
fixed it.
and then
Yeah,
you use
thanks.
that to
I
join.
had
I'll
to
send you
just
that.
Okay.
sort of say I don't
Groovy.
approve.
Yeah, and if you want, you can
anymore,
hang out,
I
you
Hey,
can
Ben.
take a break, or you can do whatever.
How's it
I'm a
going?
Just
good
mingle in here.
person.
Good, how are you?
I ever,
Good.
yeah, and put my phone number like some
Hey,
bro.
phone
Hey,
number.
friends.
I didn't want to do that, but I didn't want to wait any longer. And yeah, now I
Try
learned
to
that
be
you can do